Hello everyone. Shit. Hello everybody and welcome back to another Taylor Swift album review. Hopefully this one goes better than the last one because I actually have a little bit more information to talk about on this one. But going in the backwards order that I'm going, the next album that we will be reviewing is Evermore. Now, Evermore, I would say, is not one of my favorites. I'd say it's out of the 10 albums that she's done, it's on the lower end of my, ranking list. But individually as an album, this album is absolutely stunning. The artwork is just amazing. I love this, jacket. I want the dang jacket. And then the back, it's a full length jacket too. I'm like, I want it so bad. And the blade is beautiful. Whoever did the blade is amazing at blades. So for any of you who don't know, which I don't know why you wouldn't know, but maybe if you're not a Taylor Swift fan, but if you don't know, this was the second album. It's a sister album to Folklore, and she wrote both Folklore and Evermore during 2020, during the height of lockdown, because her original plan was Levelfest in 2020 to have a tour of the new album Level at the time, but COVID kind of ruined those plans. COVID ruined a lot of plans. But, so she decided to do what she does best and write music. So she came out with two albums, one in early 2020, and then this one in, I believe in October or November of 2020. I'm not entirely sure, but it's a sister album to Folklore. But both of these albums are kind of a 180-degree tone from what she usually writes, because she usually writes pop rock and stuff like that, but these two albums are indie folk, so it was a huge cultural shift for what she usually writes, and she blew both the albums out of the park. Again, while I would say that Folklore and Evermore are both kind of lower on my overall, out of all her albums, they're kind of lower on my ranking. Individually, they are beautifully written and beautifully made. They are absolutely beautiful albums. Now, I would say on this one, I probably only like about half the songs, and I don't really listen to the other half. But let's dive into the songs a little bit. So the first one, Willow, it used to be my favorite until until I realized that Champagne Problems is actually my favorite. The second song on the album, it's beautifully written. Not just Champagne Problems, but all of the music is written so deeply, and the songs are so rooted in what they talk about. Even though most of Folklore and Evermore songs are kind of fictional songs, because she usually writes songs based on her life, but Folklore and Evermore are kind of they'll look into kind of her life, but at the same time they're mostly about fictional people. I'll talk about it more in the next one, but in Folklore there's a love triangle between three fictional characters, but I'll talk about that later. But some of the songs that I don't like on this would be Happiness, Cowboy Like Me, Closure, Right Where You Left Me. They're good songs, I just don't like them personally. But I will say, as much as I don't like the song Happiness, it is one of the best songs lyrically that Taylor Swift has ever written. These two albums, Evermore and Folklore, are so, they're masterpieces lyrically in every way, but lyrically this Folklore and Evermore are her best work. The lyrics are just so in depth. The lyrics are actually crazy. If I could remember any lyrics, I would tell you. But songs like, well, No Body No Crime is my favorite song. And I don't know what that says about me, but it's my absolute favorite song off of this album. I believe this album only came in one color, and that's the jade green. I might be wrong, I might not, but also, like, look at this artwork. Look at it. It is so good. And then she has artwork on the, like, inner sleeves as well. And I like it because with Evermore, she gave it more, it's the same forest that she took pictures in of Folklore, that little artwork, and then there's a little picture right here. But she gave it a different color tone, whereas Folklore is a lot of grays, and Folklore overall is just gray. Evermore is kind of more like a brownish autumn fall color scheme, which I like better, but I will say out of the two, Folklore and Evermore albums, I like the Folklore cover better. The only reason I'm talking about Folklore so much in this album, in this video, is because they're sister albums. She wrote both of them in the same year and released both of them in the same year. And she hasn't really done anything like that. The only other albums that she's released in the same year are when she's released her TVs. So like, we got Fearless TV and Red TV in the same year. We got Speak Now and 1989 TV in the same year. And depending on when this video comes out, we might already have Reputation TV. But I think that it's either going to be Reputation TV and debut, or it's going to be a new album next. But either way, it's probably most likely that she's going to release Reputation TV and debut TV in the same year. Songs like Coney Island featuring The National are just, they're not only beautifully written, but they're also just, the soundtrack and the audio tracks are just so well put together. And it's also insane because for most of when she wrote, more specifically Folklore, because by the end of 2020 the lockdowns were kind of easy. They weren't over, but they were easing up a little bit. But for Folklore and Evermore, they were not written in the studio where everyone was, like, you know, Jack Antonoff, The National, I forgot what his name was, don't come for me. But Taylor Swift, Jack Antonoff, and the guy from The National were writing all these songs. They were all, you know, in their own homes, in their own places, and they would pretty much email each other their parts of the songs, and then they would put them together and find out sounds. I would definitely recommend watching the Long Pond Studio sessions on Disney Plus. While that does not pertain to Evermore, that pertains to the writing process of Folklore and Evermore, because, you know, like I said, they were all split up in their respective homes, and they had to write each different part and then mash it together. But that also gave me a whole new perspective on the album, because before I watched that, I didn't really like the albums. I only liked a few songs off the albums and didn't really listen to them. But after watching that, my appreciation for these two albums has gone up immensely. I wish that they had made a Long Pond studio session for Evermore as well, because that would have been really nice. But I guess it's just not meant to be, so we'll only get the Folklore one. But the Eras tour has also changed my perspective on this album, because I used to not like the song Tolerate It at all, and now I do. Will I go and listen to it on like a regular basis? No, not really. But I like it now because the Evermore performance of it was so much better. In my opinion, it's so much better than the album version of it. Some other good songs include songs like "'Tis the Damn Season," not "Cowboy Like Me." I said I didn't like that one. "Long Story Short," "Closure." "Dorothy" is a good song too. I think I would say the song that I listen to the least is on this album is probably "Ivy." I just can't get into that song. To think that we'll never get vault tracks for Evermore is kind of sad, but at the same time, it's nice that she doesn't have to go back and re-record this album because of Sultan SOB. SOB, who ironically has the initials SB. If only his middle name wasn't started with an O, it'd be suitable. Anyway, but I think the biggest thing with Folklore and Evermore is that they're kind of an homage to how we all kind of felt in the pandemic, because we all, well, I'm not gonna say we all, because I can't speak for all of us, but I can speak for probably a lot of people who kind of just felt lost and didn't know what to do, because once, talking from personal experience, once everything kind of shut down and stuff, the world shifted, and the world's views and feelings shifted. And I mean, I still had my job, thankfully, because a lot of people lost their job and then couldn't get a job back until couldn't find a job until society opened back up. But thankfully I still had a job because I was considered an essential worker. But even still, I felt kind of lost and weird, because, you know, it was wake up, go to work, come home. That's it. There was no waking up, going to work, then going out with your friends, and then coming home, or there was no going out. There was barely any shopping, because we did most of our shopping online at that point. So it was kind of a weird period where everyone felt, a lot of people felt stuck. And dare I say, even like abandoned and lost. And I feel that Folklore and Evermore do pay homage to those feelings. Especially songs like Happiness and Ivy, and Closure. Like, I feel like those songs really get into those feelings of that sense of loss and stuff. And can I just say that the song Happiness, it's titled Happiness, which is, you know, one of the best feelings in the world, but it's the saddest song that it's probably, I wouldn't say it's the saddest song she's written, but it's definitely one of the saddest songs that she's ever written. And I find that funny, but I also find that, like, her being like something can have a certain label, but it has a completely different feel and texture, if you will, to it. But overall, this album is good. I would rate this album out of 10. I would rate this album out of 10. I would probably give this album, I'd honestly give this album a 5. But that's not to say, that's overall. I would say that while the music itself on this album is a 5 out of 10 for me, I would say that lyrically this album is a 10 out of 10. 100%. This is lyrically there. And I also want to say I don't feel like Nobody No Crime should be on this album. Like, I don't feel like Nobody No Crime should be on this album. It feels so out of place because, like, most of this album is kind of mellow, melancholy feel, and then you have one song that's just stuck in there, like, Nobody No Crime, I'm gonna kill, this person because I'm gonna kill this guy because he killed his wife to get with his mistress or something like that. It's so weird and it feels so out of place, but that still doesn't mean it's not my favorite song of the album. I feel like Nobody No Crime should be on like Reputation, but even then it still wouldn't quite fit. So, ranking and review of Evermore. I know these videos are really short, but I'm doing these solely based off of my personal feelings. I'm not doing any research into... I'm not doing any like extra research into the album and stuff. I'm just going based off of my personal views and what I already know about the album and the time frame that the album was written. So these videos might be very short, they might be longer. I will say that the Reputation 1989, yeah, the Reputation in 1989, I could say for a fact are going to be longer videos because I actually know a lot about what was going on at that time in Taylor's life and why she wrote those albums and why she wrote specific songs. Less so about this. The only thing I really know about this album and Folklore is that they were written during COVID, and they were written because you know, Taylor said when you're stuck at home you're gonna do what you do best, and she writes music best. But I will say this album and Folklore are probably the only two good things to come out of COVID. I don't think anything else that came out of COVID was good, except if other artists came out with songs. I don't know if they did. But yeah, this happened because of COVID, and I'm thankful for that. But if we could go back and, you know, not have COVID, I would do that as well. But on the other hand, if we had never had COVID and had a lockdown, then Folklore and Evermore wouldn't exist. And again, Folklore and Evermore are her best lyrically written songs ever. Like, Folklore and Evermore are her best written albums of all time. I am going with that statement, and I'm gonna say it's true, because while I like other albums a lot better, and while Folklore and Evermore are both kind of low on my list, these two albums in terms of lyrics all 100% 10 out of 10 best lyrics she's ever written. So that is where I'm gonna leave you for Evermore and part of Folklore. So this has been the Evermore review for Taylor Swift albums. I'll only be reviewing the TVs because I'm also only buying the TVs. I'm not buying the standard version. I'm not going to review the standard version. I might compare, I might in the videos compare some of the Taylor's version songs to the standard version songs, but I'm not going to do a separate video for review for Taylor's version and standard version. I'm just not going to do that. So that's why I'm kind of going backwards in our timeline. But if you want to know more about for albums, subscribe to the channel so that you get notifications about when I post another review video for albums. There's also some pretty good Taylor Swift, well, they're not Taylor Swift channels, but they do post a lot of Taylor Swift stuff. I can't quite remember the channel name right now, but it has something to do with the name Allie, I think. I will definitely get that channel's name to you in the next video, because she does a much more in-depth breakdown of albums while she does opinions about the albums. She also gets other people's opinions about the albums and shares them on the video, so definitely look into that. Oh, sorry, I'll definitely get you the name of that YouTube channel. I'll definitely get the name of that YouTube channel. I might, if there's a link in this video, it'll be linked in the description. If not, it'll be in the next video. But this has been my review of Evermore, and I will see all of you next time.